Hey, it's Melissa with Melissa's Creations here, and I wanted to show you guys a really fun and awesome project that I came up with this past weekend. I was really excited. I was inspired to make this from Debbie Henderson's stepper box. The drawers are made the same, but I switched it up quite a bit. I am calling these the chest of drawers. These are so much fun to make, and you can give fun little gifts and goodies inside. I put some of our Halloween baker's twine in this one, and look at that cute little spider poking out the top of the Halloween drawer. This is with the Spooky Fun stamp set, and I did this one with the Christmas pines. I didn't really do anything to the inside of this one yet, but how cute would it be to put a bow or another pine cone and some holly? Anything really would look really cute, and you can decorate the front of your little drawers here as well. So if you want to see what I did, let's head over to the craft table. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. We're gonna make this really fun sliding chest box, and you can see that it fits these little baker's twines that come on the rolls. So that is an option of gifts that you could give in here. So we're gonna make one today using the Christmas Pines Suite products. So in front of me here I have the Christmas Pines stamp set along with the Pretty Pines Thinlets dies. These are so great. I really like these. So I can't wait to do another variation of that box with these products. Adhesives. I am going to use Fast Fuse, the liquid multi-purpose liquid glue, some dimensionals once I get my accents ready, and I'm also going to use tear and tape. Now this is a very important part to do the boxes on the inside of the chest, so make sure that you have this or something similar on hand. For the main base part of our box, we're going to need a piece of, well, I'm using today cherry cobbler. This is going to make the outline, this part here for my chest of drawers. I have 2 sheets of Emerald Envy, which will become my drawers themselves. And I have 1 sheet of 12 by 12 designer series paper from Christmas Pines, and that is going to be the outside of our box. Additionally, you will want some type of paper to do all of your embellishments. So I'm just going to use some Whisper White, and I may bring in a few scraps of those other paper colors. So to get started on our outer box portion, you want to trim your designer paper down to 8.5 by 11. Next, I'm going to bring in my cherry cobbler so that I can do the main part of our drawer here, the outside bit. And for that, my paper needs to measure 8 by 7.5, and there is that. And now we need to trim our Emerald Envy sheets for our drawers down to 6.5 inches. And now we're going to bring in our Simply Scored board and do some scoring. So we're going to bring in that designer series paper for the outside of our box, and with the short edge up at the top, I'm first going to score it at 2.5, and then I'm going to rotate it and score at every 2.5 inch mark. So we have 2.5, 5, 7.5, and 10. So we have 1 inch of space here. We're going to actually get rid of this rectangle down here and then cut up each one of these lines to that 2.5 inch score mark. Before we fold and crease those score lines, starting with the 7.5 inch length at the top, you're going to score it every 2.5 inches. So that's 2.5 and 5. So that gives us our 3 panels. Then you're going to rotate it to the right, and we're going to score it again at 2.5. And for this, we are just going to cut up those 2 short score lines to meet that 2.5 inch horizontal line. With our scoreboard out of the way, we can do some creasing and folding. So I'm going to just take my bone folder and fold over on each one of those score lines. And to put the outside of our box together, I'm going to run some fast fuse along the tab that is created on this side. I am actually going to just slightly notch out the top of this tab too, just so that we get a nice closure. So just run some fast fuse along that edge and along the inner edge right next to that score line. And then you can just fold it over and connect it like so. So this is the back of our box. We're going to fold in both of the sides, then the back, and then place some adhesive on the front and seal it up. So there is the front of our box. We have one more thing to do. I'm taking a 1 3/8 inch circle punch. This is the old style, but the new style would work just fine. You may have to just squish it out a little bit farther. So we're just going to take that in about halfway and punch out some little divots in the front and in the back. This will give you a hole to grab onto so that it slides on and off easily. Now with the cover made, we can do our inside case part. I'm not quite sure what to call it actually. So we're just going to score those lines that we made. And on here, I'm going to bring in both of the side tabs first, and then I will bring up the back tab like this. And we're just going to glue all those together nice and happy. So I'm going to put some of that fast fuse on, if you're looking at it the same direction I am, I'm starting with the bottom tab, and it's on the right side of the paper, so that when I bring it in, this side with the adhesive is in the front, and I'm going to glue that to this tab here. And now I'm going to place adhesive on that last tab, or the middle tab. And glue that down. And there is the start to our chest of drawers. Now to make the drawers themselves, let's bring in one of those 6.5 by 6.5 pieces of paper that we cut. I'm going to need a ruler and a pencil. So you're going to draw a mark from corner to corner. And then you're going to make an X in the other corners. And to fold the drawers in, we're going to get a little origami with it. So I'm going to take the corner, the point, and I'm going to fold that right up to the intersection of that X. So crease it. And then you're going to fold up and match that line with the fold. So essentially we have this going on here. You're going to do that with all 4 corners on both sheets, so 2 drawers. Once you have all 4 corners folded, we're going to take some scissors, and starting at one of the corners, we're going to cut up 2 full squares. So we have our point here. You're going to cut up on that score line 2 full squares on this side and on this side. So it looks like this. And then the side directly opposite from the side you just cut, you're going to do the same thing. Cut up 2 full squares. So now if we fold these in like this, you can see that's kind of the shape we have. Okay. So take that liquid glue, and we want to first glue the 2 edges that have those flaps on them. So I'm going to take this glue and run it along those 4 squares and the point. I'm going to fold that in and make that point match up to the middle of your box where that X meets. And you're going to rotate it and do the same thing to the opposite side. And then with your little flaps, you're going to bring them in. And I like to kind of fold the tops in a little bit and just give them a nice crease so that this edge wraps around it nicely. So I'm going to put some more liquid adhesive on those 4 squares and the point. You're going to bring these 2 sides together and then bring this guy up and over so that he also meets in the middle. Do the same to the other side. Just kind of tuck them in a little, flatten them out, and adhesive. Up and over. You can give that a little crease with your bone folder just to get a nice crisp edge in there. And there's one of our drawers. So just do the same thing with your other drawer and we're going to be ready to assemble. Okay, now that we have our 2 drawers, we're ready to put it inside of our little chest skeleton here. And we're going to bring in some of our tear and tape adhesive for this. So choose what sides you want to show in the front of your box. I like the sides that are actually folded over in the last step because it looks a little bit more finished and I just like that style. So you're just going to kind of place them where you'd like. If you want exact measurements, I place the bottom all the way on the bottom. The first drawer is all the way on the bottom. And then the second drawer is approximately 1.5 inches. There's a 1.5 inch gap from the top of this drawer to the bottom of this drawer. So I'm going to put the bottom in first. So I'm going to grab that tear and tape and find my edge. And since this is the front of my drawer here, I'm going to start on this side and I am doing 1 strip at the top, just slightly below the edge of the box and ending on the 3rd side over here. And I'm going to run another strip down the bottom. I just want these boxes to be super sturdy and not go anywhere. So before I put these boxes in, I'm going to take a little bit of that liquid glue and I'm going to run a little bit down here on the bottom because that's where my bottom box is going to stick. So with the non-adhesive side facing you, you're going to kind of split open. There we go. You're going to kind of spread open those 2 sides and get your box down in that corner. I like to set it down on the bottom first and then slide it back. And then you can bring in those edges. Now the box is slightly smaller than the inside of this, and I like that because it kind of tucks these edges in towards the box slightly so that you can slide your top on and off easily. But just be careful that you do try to center it so you don't get this kind of buckle here. Try and center this box in between that. So for this one, here's our side with no adhesive on the front. So spread out those sides, put it where you'd like it to go, and try and place it just about right in the middle of that back, trying to keep it level. and then you can bring in those sides and attach it like so. And to get the angle, we're just going to take some snips and go from the corner of our box here up to the corner up here. So I'm just going to angle it and take those snips and snip it right off like so. And on this side, I'm going to go from this corner down towards the box. And there it is. If you'd like, you can decorate your front panels here. I just do like how this size brings it in towards those boxes so that when you do slide this on and off, it is a little easier to maneuver. All right, now we're done with the bones of the box. So let's go ahead and start embellishing. So I have some scrap Whisper White here. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping and cutting out on the Big Shot. So I do want to use these super cute little pine cones. So I'm going to grab out my C acrylic block, and I'm going to start with the solid image of the large pine cone. And for ink, for the brown, we're going to use Early Espresso. I want 3 pine cones. For my sentiment, I am using the one that says Tidings of Comfort and Joy. I think it fits perfectly. I think it fits perfectly on that box right there. Probably going to use either a circle or an oval to cut that out. Maybe even the decorative label punch. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We're going to stamp that with some cherry cobbler. So we're going to start there for now, and I am going to cut out some other shapes using my Pretty Pines Thinlets, and we're going to see how this comes out. I have some scraps of Emerald Envy, Cherry Cobbler, and the Early Espresso. We're going to go ahead and run some stuff through the Big Shot now. So I'm going to start by cutting out those pine cones as well as cutting out our sentiment. So I'm getting this pine cone outline framelit here, and we're just going to start with the first one. So I'm feeling like an oval on here. I think I'm going to use this size, which is the 5th smallest oval. So we have our main images cut out. Now we're going to do a few accent pieces. I have some Early Espresso here, and I have some Cherry Cobbler right here. And I'm going to grab the large pine cone accent that is kind of like this. And for that Cherry Cobbler, I'm going to bring in a bow. We'll also bring in our Emerald Envy and cut out a few of those boughs, those pine boughs. Okay, now that I have these pieces cut out, what I want to do first is get all of those pine cone skins, for lack of a better word, the little outline guys. And of course, I'm going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella. The gold Wink of Stella would be perfect for these pine cones. But I'm just using the clear, and it does a very nice job also. So now I want to stick these pine cone skins down to the pine cones. And to do that, I'm going to use the fine tip liquid glue. And it really doesn't take a lot, you guys. I'm just going to put a little bit scattered around. And then I'm just going to kind of build on here just to get an idea of how I want it to look. So that's a rough idea of what I'm wanting it to look like. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing it to the outside of my project, and we'll see how this goes. That is the decoration I have for this box. And let's just say you wanted to pop a couple of those threads in there from the trio pack out of the catalog. You can fit 2 in there. These are not all the way full, so of course I can fit 2 of them in here. If they were totally full, you could probably just do 1, but you could slightly stack them on the top here since there's plenty of room. And then when you slide your cover over your drawers, there you go. You have an awesome gift for somebody this Christmas. I hope you guys like this video on how I made this chest of drawers box. You could definitely make this whole box out of just 8.5 by 11 inch paper, so that is a plus. The only downside really is that these little drawers here are made with 6.5 inch squares. I tried to do it with 6 inch squares, and I would have had to make this smaller and this smaller, and I just like the way that the smaller size drawer with this chest here brings those edges in, because I find that it does very easily slide on and off with the smaller drawers inside. So there we have it. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. If you like this project, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel to be notified when I upload new content, and go ahead and check out my Facebook page, facebook.com/mcreations. I post almost daily over there, so thank you guys so much for joining me, and I hope you liked this project today.